So, you're planning to start working or are already working in Estonia on a D visa. Then, some of the crucial things to know are your labor rights, what your employer must or must not do, and what is expected of you. To give you a short recap, working on a D visa means that you have a registration of short-term employment, which you get from your employer to be able to apply for a D visa in the first place, and you are employed short-term for the period of up to 12 months. A contract is the main document that lists your and employer's rights. This is why it's worth looking into it more closely to identify the information of importance. In Estonia, every company, employer, and employee should act according to the Employment Contracts Act. The law regulates things like fulfilling duties that your work position requires, being at work at the time defined by the contract, working a certain number of hours, following the rules of the company, and so on. The law also defines your rights, such as minimum salary, annual leave, social security benefits, protection of your rights, and so on. Now, let's look at the most important parts in more detail. Always protect your work-related rights and obligations. First of all, remember that all your rights and obligations start from signing the employment contract, and it's strongly recommended to have a signed contract before you start your work. It's a fundamental aspect of protecting your rights, and without the contract, it is very difficult to prove any violation of agreements or rights. Employment contract. Let's go through the basics of the employment contract. The main things that should be listed in your contract are the duration of the contract, your workload, how many hours a week you will work, your obligations, employer's obligations, duration of your annual leave, salary, what is your hourly or monthly payment. Let's explore some of these aspects in more detail. Working time and holidays. According to the Estonian labor law, the full-time workload of an employee is 40 hours a week, which makes it 8 hours a day. You have a right to have 2 days off per week. And of course, you must be paid the salary that is specified in the contract. If you work overtime during the night hours or during public holidays, then these hours have to be compensated with additional free time or with a payment of the increased hourly rate. You also have a right to take a sick leave if you have fallen ill. The first 3 days are not reimbursed by the employer, but the following days up to 14 are paid for. The exact numbers can be found on the Labor Inspectorate's website. Now about the annual leave. Every employee should have a minimum of 28 calendar days of annual leave each year. But pay attention. You are eligible for vacation days if you have worked for at least 6 months, and your annual leave days are linked and proportionate to the time you have worked. So, for example, if you have worked for 6 months, then you are eligible for 14 days of the annual leave. There is a formula to calculate your annual leave available on the Labor Inspectorate's website. Your duties towards the employer. In Estonia, work duties are not much different from those in other countries. Estonians value loyalty to the workplace, timely completion of tasks, accuracy, and ability to work independently. Make sure to complete the tasks assigned to you and act according to your work contract. For example, some work can be confidential, so you cannot share information about it. Report to your employer in case you encounter challenges or problems fulfilling your work duties. Also, if you want to quit your job, you should notify your employer at least 30 days in advance. Your employer can terminate the contract only on an exceptional basis and has the obligation to notify you of the termination of the employment contract 30 days in advance. Violation of rights. If the employer does not act in accordance with the contract and/or does not follow the law, then we have a case of rights violation. You must receive the salary stated in the contract, take weekends and annual leave, be remunerated in case of extra hours, have the right to a sick leave, and so on. If any of those requirements are not observed, then first we advise you to talk to your employer. Often it's just a human error, and the employer does not mean to violate the contract or your rights. Your concern can be discussed, and then the dispute is resolved. If your employer continues to violate your rights, then you can turn to the Labor Dispute Committee that handles such cases. You should submit a complaint in Estonian and allow up to 45 days for processing. Make sure that you have a person to help you submitting the complaint. You can read about the detailed steps on the Labor Dispute Committee website. Remember, if there is a case of physical abuse or sexual harassment, then you should speak to the police instead. Lost a job. We really hope that this will not be the case, but losing your job can sometimes happen because of problems in the company, disagreement with your employer, or other circumstances. That is why you should know what to do in such a situation. Unfortunately, when you lose your job, you also lose the registration of your current employment. This might be a very difficult situation, but don't worry. The first thing you can do is talk to migration consultants, just to be sure about your further steps. Migration consultants are staff members that work at the Police and Border Guard Board and help people who come to Estonia for a short or long periods of time. Migration consultants can help you with document-specific questions, job-related questions, or other services-related questions. Further to that, it's good to start looking for a new job as early as you can. You can start from the Töötukassa website. You can also use recruitment websites like cv.ee or cvkeskus.ee. Work on the Estonia webpage can be useful too. Many job offers are advertised via social media, for example, Facebook groups for expats in general or expats of your nationality. There are both English and Russian, as well as Ukrainian expat Facebook groups in Estonia. Write a post there explaining your situation, and there might be people who have a job for you. In any case, we wish you lots of luck and hope that information in this video will be helpful in understanding the Estonian labor market and your rights. Find out more about working in Estonia, here's the link to the Work in Estonia website. More information about the latest legal requirements to work in Estonia can be found on the Estonian Police website. Check out some other videos on the labor market and working in Estonia. You can also read the Expat book.